What up, Joe? This is Stanford fam. I'm just coming to you to let you know I'm just giving you some thoughts. I've been drinking a little bit, watching some movies. Wartime movie actually, which was called Wartime. Actually, pretty good movie about the Navy SEALs when they was doing some stuff in Iraq, and made me think about some things. I want you guys to understand why I reached out to Hoggy and Pete to start this podcast called Altitude Attitude, which is the name that Pete named it. So I'm very grateful for him for naming that because I'm one of those people who have ideas and execution. Sometimes it's not always there. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna keep it a buck, but I'm grateful that Hoggy and Pete stepped up to see my vision and help us all because it's not just my vision. It's all three of us push it forward. So with that being said, the reason this podcast that started is because even though I only served 4 to 5 years in the Air Force during the war, during the start of the war, in the middle of the war, and Hoggy and Pete stayed almost 15, 20, no, I think both of them did 20 years. You know what I'm saying? So with their leadership and their service, I wanted to expand. I'm sorry, not the right words. So, because I'm telling you, guys, I'm keeping this video buck, so it's not gonna be filtered or whatever else. I wanted to showcase how different parts of the Air Force, and not just the Air Force, all the military services function during war, because we always hear about the tip of the spear, right? Which those warriors deserve their freaking all the love and appreciation because the tip of the spear is what it is. But we, as support services, truck drivers, supply, food services, we help the tip of the spear move forward, right? So even though my guys who I serve with, we were in the trenches with the tip of the spear, driving trucks, convoys, a lot of people got killed, maimed, everything else. We hear about the gunnies and everything else, and they do their job very well. But we also want to showcase the support services part because sometimes you forget that who's driving that tank, who's driving that convoy truck, who's the one. They're still carrying guns. They're still doing their due diligence to eliminate the enemy also. So we want to showcase all the different aspects of the service. Also, we don't realize that the U.S. service member does things stateside to help support our own. And that narrative needs to be pushed because support services, CE, logistics, even our weather people do a lot for our country and we don't showcase that. And this is why I'm drinking beer. I'm not gonna lie to you. And I had a drunken moment to say, reach out to two of my guys and say, let's start a podcast and let's talk shit and let's put it out there about how we move in the military, our military services. Because a lot of times we got a lot of people who serve, they have the honorable discharge or less than honorable. We don't want to talk about that. You know who I'm talking about. But anyway, but we want to showcase military service in a great light, right? And I love watching the modern military movies, especially independent films, because a lot of times they actually have veterans speak their truth, and those movies are reflected. And sadly to say, even the people I serve with, who serve a lot longer than me, when they see those movies, the PTSD kick in because they have so much trauma. And I'm not trying to make their trauma into making money. I just wanted to, with the help of God and the ancestors, to help them bring that trauma to light so they can know that there's others out there. And they know that. But sometimes different voices reach different people. So one person can speak their trauma about military service and only reach like a handful of people. Another person can reach 10,000, right? But anywhere to go, everybody's getting help some way. So that's the biggest reason why, I believe that God told me to start this brainchild and that Hoggy and Pete do what they do because they're Pete is a great moderator. Hoggy, he just wild as shit. I love that Mississippi boy, man. And I know sometimes I don't, and the reason for this podcast too is for me to express my thoughts in more debate style, and I have done it in a while. So sometimes I get scatterbrained because I have so much knowledge and I read so many things, and it's hard for me to sometimes enunciate what I'm trying to say. So I wanted to be able to, with their help, push me forward to enunciate the things I want to do. But with that being said, this podcast has been very helpful for a lot of my brothers, and I love it. You know, when we had Yee in there, and Yee said he was like, "Man, you don't understand how much it helps," and so did Brother Hoggy, and it actually makes me happy because even though those brothers served longer than me, I can still give back. And you don't understand. I'm gonna tell you guys. I knew if I went to, I left Korea with orders to Minot, and I knew in my soul if I went to Minot, because that's the deployment base, I wasn't gonna see life. I wasn't gonna see no more than 10 years. I knew, because I was gonna constantly be deployed, and it took a lot. And I didn't want to. I got out, and even then, I still regretted my choice because I see my brother suffering, and I'm like, "Fuck, I got out. I should have been there with them." But at the same time, I see them thriving later on in life, and it's one of the crazy things because one of my people told me, he said, "Max, if you would have stayed in, there's a stamp, if you would have stayed in, the Air Force that you wanted to see end up happening later on, like 10 years after my service, about 2014, 2015, when we actually had a great change in leadership from the Chief Master Sergeant of the Air Force and the 4-star, and they actually made it into a more lethal force." And I sometimes have regrets about that, but I know life pushes forward. But this is a little bit I can do to honor these guys' service, because even though I served and I've been to a war area, whatever, they served a lot longer. So their stories means to me a lot more, right? Because those guys deployed multiple times, and they have that in them. And not even deployments, just doing stateside recovery missions and everything else. So with that being said, I love these guys. They don't know I'm about to drop this video on the channel because I be renegade time sometimes. But this is the reason why Altitude Attitude is here. We want to talk about real veteran issues, and not just veteran issues, just political stuff and everything else. And we just want to show you, if you guys have stories you want to talk about, if you come from different parts of their military, not just Air Force, you can be Army, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, even Merchant Marines. If you have stories about how you want to just talk about the camaraderie, the love of the military, or just to shoot the shit, we welcome you all, because at the end of the day is this structure is for all of us to try to grow help each other and grow mentally, physically. I'm back to trying to lose weight again because Lord knows I've been yo-yoing. But we trying to help each other, right? So with that being said, thank you you guys for listening to us. Thank you for subscribing. It's a blessing to try to help you guys as best we can, to help you at least see the world, how we see things, and vice versa. I know sometimes the internet connection be crazy and we be talking shit, whatever, because we're in 3 different states. But we want you to see that how, even though military members have not been around each other for years, bro, it's like coming back. Because you serve with these people 24/7, and that camaraderie, waking up and be like, "Man, fuck you," and like, "Fuck you," and you talk that racism, sexism, all that shit. In the military, we talk that because at the end of the day is when we in the field, we know we're gonna die for each other. So rather just air everything out and live our life to the fullest, because these are great men, great women, great people, and we served. We all had our own reasons to serve, but when we got into the Air Force or any other military, we end up serving our country because at the end of the day is we knew we was gonna die for each other. So with that being said, thank you for subscribing, thank you for listening. I know I'm on a kind of buzz tangent. Warfare is a great movie. I've seen it on Flexify because I got a bootleg thing. But anyway, and I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna actually buy and support it. Support military movies, especially these modern ones, especially those Indian ones, because they showcase the military in a great way. Peace out.